Sweet. Howdy, everybody. If it's Tuesday, it must be the Idle Zone Syndicate. Your old buddy Dan here. Come heck or high water. I'll do it on a string and a tin can if I have to.
You said that much better than I did last week.
We can hear you loud and clear. You're good, buddy.
Yep, it's all good.
I just hate doing it on my phone because I can't see comments.
Mm.
So,
well,
it is what it is.
We'll make it work. Yep. What is up, Jack and Mark? And what's up, Max? How you doing?
Good.
You have a good day in school today?
Yes.
Good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You learn anything today?
Yeah.
And that would be what?
Well, we're working on 2 basement letters. They are J and Q. No.
It's okay if you got it wrong. It's fine. Just keep talking.
J and K, maybe?
J and some letter else.
Some letter else.
What's a basement letter? Is that like a
Q?
Like a letter?
Oh, I think I know. It swoops down.
Yeah.
That's what it means?
Circle and a hook.
So a basement letter goes like under the line?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Learn something every day, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we all learned that just now. Good job.
Yeah.
Taught us old boys something.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, just real quick while we're just getting started here. So, Crank, you missed out on this last weekend's festivities, buddy.
I know.
We kind of got together, the 3 of us, and we had a pretty daggum good time, if you ask me. Pretty successful weekend. I didn't get a chance to poke my head in the kids fishing and the 3D bow shoot, but I'm assuming it went well. We actually, before Danny gets too involved in describing that experience for him, I had a fan meet me at the boat show over the weekend, and
but I was too late.
He was running a little bit behind, and actually it was not a fan of us, it was a fan of this one, and he gave him some pretty cool stuff. So Max, what did Mr. Kiblinger give you, and what would you like to say to Mr. Kiblinger? Can you hold these up? Pretty neat. Can you show them in the camera? These are belt buckles. One of them dates 1988.
That's the week I was born.
Hopefully we're holding these up right here.
Yep.
1988.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool bass belt buckle.
Yeah.
And I'd rather be fishing.
Yeah.
We may or may not wear these
Nice.
at some point in time. And then we've got a
pretty neat fishing lure.
A crawdad colored pre-wrapped wigglewort.
Ooh.
So some pretty cool stuff. Max, what do you want to say to Mr. Kiblinger?
Thank you.
He was trying to hold off from leaving to hand them over to him in person, but Max and the kid, and Emily and Juju was running a little bit behind. So
yeah, because we had to get McDonald's.
Oh, that's a good. That's a good excuse.
Yeah. So, Richard, thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. Really nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was a good weekend. First time I'd ever been to the Albers Marine Outdoors show, and it was everything that y'all had described. I mean,
Okay.
small, but not really. I mean, it is small, but kind of a family thing all day long. Like you saw a lot of people, that you don't get to see very often, and just a neat deal. I believe Mark Moody probably made the most money off a tackle in that show. I'm guessing. Uh, and he didn't even make a dent in his stuff. Oh, Max, I saw you. Max sold some of his dad's stuff to Mark.
We got a
Pretty-
lot of money.
at a pretty reasonable price, I would say.
He fleeced me.
Yeah, that was a good one. So I had a good time. We'll definitely go back next year, and had some good speakers. And I don't know if they sold any boats, if Albert sold any boats, but they had some pretty good prices on those boats, and it was a good show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I like it.
Haven't had a chance to talk to Roseanne about her afterthoughts or anything of it, but yeah, always fun. Danny, how'd the kids casting and stuff go?
Actually, I didn't get back there and help very much.
I didn't see you.
I was trying to float around and get more video and pictures and stuff, but it was actually largest one in several years. I think Brad said they had right at about 60 kids come through. So
Nice.
that's usually 35 to 45 is about what we do, and this year several more. So cool, good time. It's not really a contest. It's more of an educational thing. They bring the kids in and they pitch a jig that's got a magnet on it.
Yeah.
And they're pitching the jig out to try to catch one of these
Cardboard fish.
Yeah, cardboard fish with a piece of metal in it, right?
Sounds like somebody caught a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. But the cool thing is that they're not all largemouth or all smallmouth. There's a mixture. There's several different species, and that's the whole point of the deal. Is once the kids catch a fish, then the person that's helping them is like, okay, now what kind of fish is this? And work on fish ID and that sort of thing. So pretty cool deal. And Brad always puts Brad Van Riet, the KBN secretary, that's his baby, and he puts together backpacks for the kids and lots of little goodies and stuff, and it's a really positive thing to be involved with.
I got fishing lure cards. They trade.
Awesome. Very
from
cool.
that fishing contest.
Yeah, those are.
Excuse me, guys. While we're on that subject, the fisheries biologist for that area, and his name is escaping me. I should have made a note, but he also brought some materials over to donate. He had made up bags himself to give to kids, and he brought those over for us to hand out as well. So kind of a hand in hand with wildlife and parks and tourism there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Max, you got other people in the comments shouting at you over here, bub. Can you read that? Does that say Nani?
My nanny.
Connor Osowski, David says, who the biologist was.
There we go. Thank you, David. Really cool to visit with David and his booth the other night. as well as Steve LaRue and Richard Fitzwater. See all the local custom artists.
Yeah.
They had the attention of the Grand Poobah too.
Yes. Absolutely. Tell a little bit about that, Danny.
Speaker.
Well, pretty awesome deal, folks. If you didn't make the trek to Pittsburgh, I'm going to back up just a moment. I'm going to back up with where I wanted to start with that. I love going to that show, and I love doing shows and meeting the fans and viewers and members and just fellow fishermen. The part that bugs me is not getting to visit with everyone that I want to visit with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like Chad Allison, we had talked about maybe getting together afterwards, and it just didn't work out. Every time I was free, I'd look over and see him, and he had 2 or 3 people he was talking to, and vice versa. And so, but if you think about it, that's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. But if you didn't make the trek to Pittsburgh on Saturday, the goat was there, folks.
A goat.
The goat.
The goat.
That stands for greatest of all.
Not a goat either.
Oh, I
He
know.
was the greatest of all time.
A fisherman.
Yep,
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
you do.
Uh-huh.
Who was it?
The guy who was right over here, he was talking about him. Right before, whenever he was at the boat show with me, he told me about him. So this guy over here, he told me.
He told you about the goat, or are you saying that guy that you're sitting on is the goat?
No.
That would be correct.
We had a conversation. We had a conversation about Mr. Clun, and if he remembered going to the Classic and having his first Bassmaster magazine ever signed by him.
I got one.
Yeah, you do. I heard about that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's
That
pretty
is-
sweet.
I would. He is definitely in the top 2, I think. And some people would argue there's another goat out there, but he certainly is on the Mount Rushmore of fishing. We can say that for sure. Mr. Rick Clun, along with KVD. And I don't know who the other 2 would be. Maybe we should have a discussion on that sometime.
I would love to be part of that debate.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Daddy.
I mean, I think me and Moody might have debated that Saturday night for at least an hour in
Yeah.
conversation. And, Rick got voted, I don't know how many years ago this was, but, he got voted by peers, fans, the greatest of all time. So it's
I mean, just the sheer fact that he fished for 50 years, has fished, he's not done, has fished for 50
Right.
years competitively,
yeah.
Yeah.
may give him the edge to be the top of the mountain there. But
He's
That'd be-
definitely not
it's-
short on the resume either.
yeah,
I mean, stacked.
Something that stuck out to me in his, when he got up and he was talking and addressing the crowd about just different things and his journey was, one of the classics that he won was on a pose, what we call like an RC1. And it's just a little tiny square bill, flat sided, made out of cedar, doesn't weigh hardly anything. And one of the questions that got asked is how in the world did you even cast that lure? And it was essentially, just kind of flipped it out there. You think nowadays the tackle and the line and the techniques have really, really changed since.
Yeah, I think the question was like what kind of spinning rod and line do you throw? And his answer was, I didn't throw it on a spinning rod.
Yeah. Oh man. My favorite part of his presentation was let me back up on my thought here. Some go to presentation seminars like that, and they're wanting, specific information on technical stuff. And for me personally, I'm wanting more of the mental aspect. I'm, the strategy, the mindset, the, that kind of thing. And when he started speaking, he said what had really kind of revitalized his love for speaking to audiences was doing seminars with the high school and college kids. And then finding something to get across to them, and not down, but across to them about awareness, that awareness of your surroundings, whether you're a scoper or an anti-scoper or somewhere in between. Awareness of your surroundings is as important as anything. And then he, went on to explain that, if you're seeing the shorebirds up on the bank, chasing minnows, and what's that mean? And seeing the gulls slap the water and those kinds of things. And those are timeless things to bring up. And that was my favorite part.
Yeah, I mean, Danny, you're right. It was crazy. Even he went in to talk about something that I thought about on my on my way back was like when you're driving down the lake and you're on your home lake, for example, and you look at the same thing over and over again, and you have a tendency to kind of levitate towards that spot. John, I'll use this for an example. You go to Big Hill, you have a tendency to go to the north end, and you don't start fishing until you get above the bridge. And I have my tendencies. I like to fish close to the dam sometimes, or this or that. And he said, you might do yourself a favor, and the next time you're on your way to work, you're looking at that same sign. He goes, try and notice something else, and try and not focus on the same thing every single time. That's one thing that he said improved his fishing. I could relate. I can definitely relate to that. It was really crazy how much that sunk into me.
Steve LaRue is commenting that it was great that Rick Clunn took his time with each person. And that, yes, absolutely. And the thing that I noticed right off the bat on Friday night, because he did come in Friday night for a couple hours, and that wasn't required of him to do, and he took the time to go around and visit all the vendors personally. That spoke a lot.
Yeah.
And Casey Scanlon was the second speaker of the day, and are kind of sandwiched in between. And Casey gave a great talk, I thought. His was more focused on technical information, and not so much experience side, but more how-to side. And I thought he was great. That's one of the better ones I've heard Casey do.
Yeah, no, it was good. He was good. I was kidding. I was kidding the guys about we were gonna do a little, live with Casey and Rick, and I was trying to figure out how to introduce them, and we were gonna say something like, sitting here with the goat and the second best fisherman in this room, Casey. But we didn't get that chance, so
It's always next year.
yeah.
I thought Casey did a great job, and
He did do a great job, and he just did a basically how he breaks down a lake, a fishery when he's pre-fishing for a tournament, and how he breaks it down, and how much he fishes, and what he's looking for, and it was very informative.
And he's been around the Horn for quite a few years now. I can remember when he had a live camera in his boat on Bull Shoals years ago in a Bassmaster event. I mean, he was in the top runnings to win that tournament. So he's definitely no slouch for sure.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting. You guys said you don't fish until you get past that bridge, because there's some good fish on that bridge.
Well,
Don't be telling secrets, Crank.
I didn't say what I caught him on.
No,
but...
he thinks I don't fish till I get past the bridge.
Okay. I was just going off the information given.
Go ahead.
But that was a good point, and I was thinking of Big Hill and Grand when he was saying that about how often that I do. I mean, how often do I just put the hammer down and go up the channel and make sure I'm not hitting any, I'm looking for that 1 or 2 or 3 stumps that you have to look for when you're running up there. So you're not looking around, and maybe I need to slow down a little bit and check some other stuff out on my way up there. Probably not. That probably won't happen the next time I'm there, but it sounded good.
Well, Max, thanks for coming on the show. Maybe next time, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. You gonna tell the guys bye?
Bye.
Later, Max.
Later, Max.
Hopefully the Chiefs win in the Super Bowl.
Darn right.
Bye bye.
Cool.
Well, it wasn't a great weekend in my household as far as sports goes. So
Max is still in the shop, and he's smiling from ear to ear about that comment still. So
obviously Max didn't watch the KU game. That's actually going just as it was Saturday night.
Yeah.
Right now. So
yeah.
They obviously didn't learn much this week.
Is Dewan sick or what? Why is he sitting on the bench?
I don't know.
He's in warm-ups. Anyway, so back to the little show. Maybe we've had a miscommunication with our guest.
No, I
he's here.
I believe he's here now. So
you guys ready to bring him on?
Absolutely. Yep. Go ahead, Kyle.
So we got a pretty cool guest tonight. He's a 4-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier, a Bass Nation champion, which is really, really awesome. Very hard to do. He's from New Iberia, Louisiana, Mr. Caleb Sumrall.
How's it going, fellas?
Welcome.
What's up, brother?
Better late than never, right?
Yeah,
No worries.
that's all right. Louisiana boys are on their own. They're on their own time.
I'm glad you texted me, man. So my emails were I fought my emails when you texted me about sending me the link, and I was logged out on my phone. I was like, I'll deal with it later. I got distracted from logging in to getting that link, and I just brain's going 100 miles a minute about things I'm behind on right now, and just I don't know, dude. It just happens.
Understandable. How you been?
Been good, man. Been good. You know,
Have a good off season.
I
Getting
did
ready.
a very busy off season.
Yeah.
I started this this little secondary deal where I'm doing some inshore guiding, doing some saltwater guiding, and it's a good little supplemental deal for a guy like myself. I'm not getting burnt out on bass, but I'm staying on the water, staying fishing, and I like it. I've been liking it a lot. I mean, I'm having fun with it. My customers are having fun with it, so it's been a lot of fun.
You do everything, or is it just
Just
redfish? Or
the predominant target is speckled trout,
okay.
but there'll be some days where I do just redfish, but it's trout and reds mostly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
That's
it's
awesome.
fun. Yep.
That's awesome. And so you're getting ready. What are we, about a month away? A little less than a month away from
Probably
kicking it
less.
off?
Probably less than a month.
Yeah. When will you head out?
Well, let's see. As it stands right now, I haven't sold last year's boat. I still have to pick up my this year's boat, continue to rig, and I haven't got all my equipment on hand yet. Wrap the boat. I haven't even thought about tackle yet. So to say that I got a day picked out to leave is behind the eight ball for sure.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think I think I, I think I looked at it. I think I'm leaving February 15th.
Okay. So 2 or 3
Uh,
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He's like, so is that typical? Tell everybody listening, you know, that off season, is that pretty typical? I know of one year, like that COVID year, like everybody was like getting their boats as they were going out the door to the first tournament and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
talk
It,
about
it,
that.
It's seen, and Express has done a great job. My boat's been ready for a little while. I just haven't had. It does me no good to go get it, and because I don't have everything else to put on it. So it's the smaller things that are kind of like holding everything up. But yeah, no, I think this is gonna be my 8th year this year, and I want to say 7 of those 8 years I've gotten my boat at least on an average 2 weeks out from my first tournament. So yeah, it's always a just running around like a chicken with your head cut off type of deal. I mean, there's things that you could do to kind of pre-plan, but until you win about 5 Elite Series trophies or a classic to where you really got some pull with these companies, you're gonna be last minute. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you rig your boat yourself?
My last 4 years, I have bow to stern from power poles to. I didn't rig the engine, but batteries, charger, electronics, trolling motor. I did everything myself the last 4 years. This year, I'm not. I'm having Jones trolling motor and Texarkana do it. So I'm
Nice.
excited about that. That's going to save me about. It would take me about 4 days. I would typically get a hand for the harder stuff, and then, everybody had to go back to work. But I would do everything the rest by myself, and it was chasing wires in a boat and being a big guy is not fun.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I don't, I don't know how those guys, I don't know how any of those guys, mechanics,
You got to have a small guy on the payroll.
guys that fix washing machines or anything really that's you got to fix. I don't know how they have the patience to do it. One, because
Oh, I know.
I don't. But so what's your setup? What are you running on everything this year? What's your setup? What kind of electronics are you running? What's your setup going to be?
I'm keeping it as simple can get this year. Running dual power pole blades on the back, power pole charge. Going to a new lithium battery company. I'm running Thor lithiums, and I'm gonna have one Garmin 12-inch at the console for down scan, side scan, and mapping. One 12-inch, and that's going to also power an MBT screen up front for my mapping and scope. So I'm going to have basically two screens on my boat this year, and a Garmin LSV34 transducer, and I should be able to do everything that I need to do with a power pole move trolling motor on that Express. So
Nice.
nice and simple, but it should be effective.
Yeah. And what are you thinking about this year's schedule?
Schedules, I like it. You know, I'm partial to, if you look at, if you're a statistic guides and you look at my track record in February and early March in Florida, um, I should not be excited, which it historically has gotten my number. I think I should do the statistics on that on cuts that I've made in Florida when we start the year there. My rolling average in Florida early season has got to be like mid 70s. It's bad. I don't know if I fish too fast, if I've yet to figure it out. It's the only adjustment that kills me. Um, Florida early season, I was hoping to not have, but we do have it. So it's all right. St. John's River is fine. I've got a lot of history there. We've been there. I think this year will be my 5th time there. So I'm kind of liking that. Rodman's off the schedule, so it'll be a straight river tournament. I pretty much know about all I need to know there, about general areas where I need to be. Okeechobee kind of scares me. It's a monster. It's the type of lake that, if there's half the field fishing in this one little pretty water pocket, you better be in there or you're going to get your butt kicked by every guy in that pocket. It's nothing like I like fishing, but, I'm looking forward to, obviously, the Sabine River on the schedule again. That's one that, that's 2 hours down the road from my house. I typically have a good track record there when I don't make a dumb decision on a given day, but still, got more top 20s there than bombs. And I'm excited about the one on the North Carolina coast with the cypress trees and tidal water. So that'd be two partially tidal water fisheries that I'm excited about getting to, because I said it on another podcast this morning. I think a lot of the guys I fish against get spun out with tide, and or they don't approach it right, should I say, and it's intimidating to them. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to have a little leg up in that sense. Hopefully that helps.
So what I'm hearing is you're looking forward to the quote unquote non-scoping tournaments.
There it is. Who knows, dude? You never know anymore, dude. Somebody will probably win Sabine scoping them off of cypress trees.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to ask. I personally think that people are going to get better and better and better with it, and it's not going to be just out in the middle
Oh no.
tool. And Scott Martin proved that last year in the Open. But I don't think we're there yet. I'm hoping as a fan that there's a good mix of both, so we can watch guys like flip and put a beat down on. I like
I'm with
seeing
you.
that.
I'm with you. I've caught fish as shallow as 4 foot on live scope this year.
Yeah.
And it's not impossible. And I'll tell you right now, that's kind of like I said it in the podcast I did this morning with Bash U. That's the difference maker for some guys that are really good scopers, is they know the adjustments to make to go super shallow and still catch those fish that you can't see with your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, there's shallow fish still getting caught with scope. It's happening.
And what is your if you just had one rod you could use for the rest of your life set up, what would it be?
It'd be pretty hard to argue with a 7 foot 3 inch medium heavy on a 7:3 to 1 gear ratio reel, 16 pound, 20 pound line, and a half-ounce chatterbait.
Okay.
And I don't know where it is, but everywhere you go along the country, If you lock it in your hand for 8 hours, you'll get 5 of the right bites if you keep putting it in certain places. I mean, there's still guys, even with scope, that are still making a good career with a chatterbait in their hand.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that uh, a novice chatterbait person is doing wrong, or something that you do different with a chatterbait that makes it better for you?
Man, when you're around grass, you want to tick and kind of rip it out the grass, and the rest of the time, I'm just covering water and chunking it out there, and winding it in. Throw it around shade, throw it around a tree, throw it around anything you can without getting hung up. Sometimes I'll throw it back up over some stuff, trying everything I can not to get it hung up, but just trying to show. Just throw it by anything that looks like it has a bass, and just keep rolling.
Are you
If
fishing fast with a chatterbait?
I
Like you got the
I
trolling
typically
motor on high?
I typically fish pretty fast. I'm an above 6 on the trolling motor type of fisherman.
Mark Moody is that way.
Yeah.
He's the guy on the side here in the comments. He's the guy above 8, I think, on the trolling motor.
If I got a buzz bait in my hand, you better back up, or just if I got a co-angler and a buzz bait, I feel bad for him. He just might as well just troll that thing behind the boat.
That's exactly what I was fixing to say about my team partner in the comments. Is, I joke to a lot of people, and when we start talking about throwing buzz baits in the fall, I said, well, all I do is just let out about 8 foot of line, and hold my rod off the side of the boat.
That's right. You get the burn. I get the burn the buzz bait in the fall. Yeah, you better have some serious batteries on that boat.
You have a favorite color of chatterbait and buzzbait?
The longer that I have done this game, I have gotten away from different colors. It is more. I think it plays into a lot of how fast that I fish too. It's more contrast with me than anything. It's pretty hard to go away from green, pumpkin, white, black, and blue. Okay, that's your 3 basics. I might mix up my trailers a little bit if I feel like I'm on a really super pretty water bite. Or with the chatterbait, I might kind of mix in a little, translucent shad, something that's not as bright. If they know they're on shad, I might mess with a few colors, but my 3 staples that I'm going to always go to is green, pumpkin, white, and black and blue. Same thing with the buzz bait. I'm doing the same thing with my frogs. I throw a white horny toad on the back of a buzz bait and a black horny toad on the back of a buzz bait. If I want a black one, I throw a dull gold blade on every single one. I don't overthink it. A man will go broke or get lost trying to mix up combinations. I concern myself with burning the bank and trying to find active fish.
So are
You know
you
what I'm saying?
always throwing a horny toad and no skirt, or skirt with a horny toad, or how are you?
Man, I have a couple skirted ones that I will build in the boat and throw on certain occasions because I have seen a skirt not get bit. Um, I have seen the skirt get missed a lot, but every time that horny toad gets stuck under the heads and on their tooth line, it blows my mind. Um, so when I do throw the skirt buzz bait, sometimes I'll bite down a speed crawl, kind of give it that same profile, but not as big. It's something still a little bit smaller. I'll throw a little speed crawl in there, kind of just give it the same little action, but not as much meat for them to grab onto. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that helps a lot.
awesome.
Yep.
So you want to know your Florida stats?
Oh God, there's no way you just look this up.
Oh yeah, he's our stats guy.
So you actually have a couple of really nice finishes, in my opinion, a 15th and 26th. And
That was hang on. What the 26th was early, right?
yeah,
The 15th was this past year.
yes, and that says something. So it took you a few tournaments down there to get used to fishing in Florida.
But that wasn't February.
So your average isn't good because of the
I know.
the 5 or 6 times down there. you get 84th at Harris, 98th at Okeechobee, 89th at Harris, 83rd at St. John's, 72nd. And then it goes 15th and 26th. So your average is not, it's below the check line, but you're getting better. And let's just look at it on a positive note. But I wanted to
I'll put it. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
There was 6 fish in the plane of that 26th and that 15th mark. 6. And look, that's the game we play. Sometimes all it takes is 6. I think the 26th place finish was the 26th place finish this year, or was the 15th?
It was this year.
Okay, so the 15th, the 15th, I caught a 9.7. Okay, almost 10 pounder, one fish. That's all it takes, though.
Buddy.
Weighed in 17 pounds, whatever. This year, I weighed in 28.8 on the first day, and the second day I caught one bass for 311.
Yeah.
I knew I was done. I caught every one of them jokers. They were laid up on the bed, and they did it so perfect. And I said, man, I think I only called 2 that might have helped me or might have hurt me by not leaving. But yeah, so there was 5 fish from that first day and that 9.7 that contributed to that 15th and 26th place finish.
So the kind of something that I saw scrolling through some of these tournaments is, Lake Oahe was a deep water smallmouth tournament. You finished 13th.
My first year.
Yeah. Table Rock, there was an open, Bassmaster Open. You finished 9th. Lake 10 Killer was another tough grinding event. You finished 21st.
The Table Rock tournament, I was in the lead. I led for 2 days.
Yeah, you did.
That was a Bassmaster Opens championship. I led that one for 2 days. That was a spinnerbait and a buzzbait and a plopper deal, and I was burning the bank. Just sun came out and cold weather blew, and I couldn't put down the spinnerbait in the topwater, and I was off my game. But Hawaii, I'm gonna talk about Hawaii because that one was. If that was one that was that made me realize, hey, okay, I kind of do belong in this game. I was a rookie that was so green around the gills that I didn't know a lot. And I felt like, this was toward the end of the year. If I was going to start gaining any confidence, I need to start having some kind of confidence rolling, right? So Hawaii's a deep, clear lake, smallmouth bass. I've only caught a handful. But probably one thing that contributed to how good I did is I went to the lake below it, a dam down, the day before, and day before practice started. And I noticed these fish were eating some super small bait. And they were not blowing up on them because this is what clued me in on it. It wasn't blowing that day. And I kept seeing these smallmouth you would see a little bitty ripple. The bait that they were eating was so small they couldn't blow up on them because they couldn't see them. So they were just eating little. It would just be all over in their mouth. They would shake their heads when you got them in the boat, and it just little bit. It might have been smelled. I don't even know what it was, but that's what they were eating. Well, day one of the tournament, I find a spot that's got some good ones. I catch a decent bag. The second day, I start getting clued into what they're doing because now I'm talking only 2D sonar at this time was the only thing happening.
Right.
I kept noticing that every time I shut down my boat, I throw my trolling motor down, there'd be a mark right under my prop wash under my boat if I turned my boat around. So I started shutting down on some of my best spots and I would throw a 2.8 Kitech on a drop shot behind the boat in the prop wash and go stand up and throw down the trolling motor. And by the time I would do that, half the time I had a smallmouth on my rod. They were coming up to look at my boat when I would get off a plane. I was like, yeah, I don't know. That was a really cool little just thing to figure out of what they were doing that I was like, okay, I could play this game.
I look at some of the anglers ahead of you in that event. You finished right behind Edwin, Brent Ayler,
cool.
Justin Lucas, Josh Bertrand, Jacob Wheeler. Casey Ashley. Mark Daniels Jr. won that tournament with almost 70, right at 69, 70 pounds. But if I remember correctly, he was throwing a Ned rig, I think. But
Yep.
And right behind you was none other than David Fritz, and I know he was throwing a ball and chain because I saw that.
Yeah, that's what I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a fun tournament. I remember, I didn't have a lot of confidence in what I was doing that far up in the country. Mark Daniels Jr. actually drove by me the first day we were coming back, and he waved me down. We talked in the water. He's like, dude, I don't know if I got there's no gas on the water there at all. And that's how him and Casey Ashley, and I think Bradley Roy did good. They were going basically as far as the gas in their boat would take them, and there was no gas to get on the way back. So, like, you could press it and get, like, not get back. He's like, dude, I don't know how much gas I got in my boat. And he goes, we talked about what flight we were in. And he goes, it turned out I was the flight behind him. And I said, dude, I got my fish. Like, I'm good. I'll just follow you in. And I followed him and came in just 15 minutes or just fished around the ramp for 15 minutes. But yeah, that was a cool tournament. That was one of my favorite tournaments for a long time. It really was.
And, was it because you say that? Is that because you had a high finish, or is that because it's just completely different body of water, new experience, all of the above kind of deal, or what attributes you to say that?
That I think that's what it was too. That was the first year the elites went to the no info rule. So I'm fishing against household names that have had years of waypoints and just knowledge and just everything stacked against me. So, like I said, and all that was playing against me in my head, as I'm traveling the country, getting my butt kicked all year, it felt like. So it told myself that, hey, we go to somewhere new, I can play. Like like I said, it was a confidence booster for me. It was huge. The finish was great, but yeah, going somewhere new. And I think if I'm not mistaken, we had another place that we went. I might have to look it back and see, but there was a couple places like that we went to that really I got a good finish out of that we hadn't been to or something like that. I'm trying to think.
Winyah Bay.
Winyah Bay. Yeah, that was one. Ran all the way to Cooper River. I finished 11th there, I think.
Yes.
I finished for one place out of the top 10. And you know why I didn't make a top 10 there? I got scared of making a 2-hour one-way run. I got scared. Didn't go the first day. I stayed close. I think I weighed in. I'm going to tell you what I weighed in. 7 pounds and 7 ounces first day. And then I'm like, well, that's what that's going to get me if I stay here. Made the run. I think I caught like 13 pounds. I caught a 6-pounder and just shot me way up. Yeah. Winyah Bay was one.
I watched a guy's YouTube channel on my way home from work today. Didn't watch it. I guess I should say that differently. I listened to a YouTube channel on my way home from work. I have an hour commute one way.
Oof.
And I think it might be one of your roommates.
Yeah.
And in this episode, you didn't act like you were too scared making a 2-hour run. So
my confidence came a long way. And we could talk about that tournament. That was a good decision to make. So we're going to the Northern Swing this year. I'm 58th in points. I got to get to at least the 42nd line to make it to the Bassmaster Classic. We go to Champlain. I had a great tournament there. I finished 13. Okay, boom. I'm kind of in the cut. Still got a lot of work to do for a monster place that has kind of got my number some years, but I've also done good some years there. Like I think I've always missed some check. I've missed a couple checks, but I think I top 10 or came close to top 10 in one year. And long story short, I ended up making the 2-hour one-way run to Lake Ontario. Got gas twice in my express. I ran 10 miles out into the lake and just knew that I had to be around 5+ pound fish. And caught a couple. We could only fish the lake for 2 days, and was able to catch enough bass to get me up in there and shot all the way up. After the tournament was done, I was just sitting in 30th in points. So it was a cool little rally.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great job.
How many gallons of fuel, just out of curiosity, one day?
It was $310. I didn't do the math on the gallons, but it was a lot of money. By the time I filled up on the water twice and filled up at the end of the night, again, it was $300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big, for me, just 2 hours, a 2 hour boat run just seems impossible for somebody like me. And to hear you guys talk about it on the YouTube show, Lee Livesey YouTube channel, I was just like, wow, you guys were running all the way up as far as your guys' boats would take you, the way it sounded.
Yeah. You better be on them. Like when I tell you on them, like you better, there's no like practice. You better like and we had a day of practice cut short too. So you had to decipher, are you going to commit all of your time to practice the lake? Cause it's a monster. I mean, talking about one of the Great Lakes, big waves. You got to factor in, is the wind blowing? That's good. If the wind's blowing 10 miles, could take you 30 minutes to run, probably sometimes longer. So you got to factor all that into your run. And day 3, it did that. We could there was a few guys that went to the lake, and I'm pretty sure they broke a few bolts, but
Yeah.
it's a monster, and you better be on them. You better have the waypoints at them smallmouth are ready to go.
Cool stuff.
Yep.
We kind of jumped right into fishing, but you touched on it a little bit about Wahi and how you were just new into the Elite Series. A lot of folks maybe don't know how you got there, the story,
Yep.
which is a very cool story. So take us back to
2017.
take us back to that. Maybe even the state championship or qualifier before that, or the regional before that.
Do you know that regional?
It
I
was
want to
probably
say it was Lake of the Ozarks. I think
yes.
I'm pretty sure it was Lake of the
Yeah,
Ozarks.
yeah, I think it was.
So I mean, look, I've been up. Let me get comfortable real quick. I'm sitting here holding my phone. I don't have a place to put it. Yeah, man, I've been an all field hand since right out of high school. Um, Worked my way up to managing a location. Started like kind of fishing nation, couple ABAs at the time. What was it called? The weekend series.
Mhm.
Was fishing a couple local tournaments around the house. I won a big one around the house, and then it lit a fire, and I started entering in everything I could. And the nation platform was really what I really clung to. First year didn't do too good. The next 2 years, I won state champ back to back. One year I won it with a perfect AOI score. I had 3 first place finishes. That had never been done, so I was pretty proud of that. We go to regionals at Lake of the Ozarks. This is one of the first times I've ever traveled to fish anything different outside of the state. So I said, I'm not going to do anything dumb here. I'm going to find the dirtiest water I can. And I looked on the map, and there was one back of one creek that had dirty water. And I went and found every rocky point, every stick on the side of a dock, anything that I could throw by. And I can't remember if I finished first or second. I think I did win it for the state for the 10 guys. But that year, because of our participation, we brought 2. I think Jamie Lesh came with us, and then that was in March or April. Might have been March.
I think so.
That year, the all field was taking a crap. It was kind of going down. I had done moved to, or didn't move, but I was working basically 5 and 2 out of Port Fouchon. And in October, I got laid off. So a job of 12 and a half years at the time, got laid off. They paid my severance for the year, paid me for my years of service. And, but still in all, it wasn't a full salary. It was just my years of service. I forget how they did it. Like half of your biweekly salary for however many years of service. So I basically did the math, and I had just enough to go fish the nation tournament on Hartwell. I think I went pre-practice at one time, and just said, you know what, this will be it. Like, I'm gonna go fish this tournament that I'm already qualified for. Wife was pregnant for Axel at the time, so there was some stress there, serious stress of. And at some point, I was stressing. I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to say I knew what I was gonna do. I knew what I was gonna have to do. If I didn't do well, I was gonna have to go back to work, and the bass boat was gonna get sold. And who knows, I might not be sitting here talking to you guys today. I mean, um, it's actually crazy. And so I'm going to a deep clear fishery, fishing schooling fish on herring, and something I've never done before. I have zero experience doing. Um, and I made the decision to leave home. I want to say a week before the tournament started, before practice started, and I went fish Kiwi, and I went fish Richard B. Russell, just to try to key in on any little clue that I could get about what I should do to do better in this tournament. Practice starts. I'm figuring I'm going to run down the buzzbait largemouth deal. I practiced for 3 days. I think we had 3-day practice and the takeoff practice. I forget how we did practice. I had one of the worst practices ever as far as for a tournament. I had a bunch of cane piles marked. I couldn't figure it out. I would see fish schooling. They were smarter than me. But I kept noticing one area that had good ones, and I was drawn to it. I was drawn to this one shoal at the mouth of a creek that I knew had giants. And I think I blasted off the first day of that tournament, and the first 2 hours I fished nothing that I have fished before. I started throwing a series five sexy shad crankbait trying to hit brush piles. And I caught a limit of spotted bass doing that. Just Chilita Bend and Sam Rayburn stuff, cranking brush piles. That's what I started off doing. Just got a limit of some small spotted bass. And I pulled up on that shoal at about 9 o'clock, and think I caught me about 11 pounds, but I saw some giants come up, like giants, like 6 to 8 pounders, I thought at the time. So day 2, we blast off. I knew exactly where I was going. I was going straight there. And I shut the boat down that morning. I'll never forget it. The herring just took off my boat wake. When my boat sat down, the herring just took off my wake, and they just erupted, and ended up catching a limit. Kind of picked at a few, and I just kind of sat trolling motor down, trolling around, couldn't figure it out. And about, I don't know what time it was, 9, 10 o'clock, something just told me, hey, idiot, get back on your boat and try to make that wake again. I left my trolling motor up with my rod in my hand, put my life jacket on. I think I had a guy from Zimbabwe, a co-angler from Zimbabwe in my boat. And the Zimbabwe guys are really cool. They get hyped up. They ain't scared to throw an F-bomb around. they get excited. So I do a couple big donuts in the boat at the time, and I shut down right on top. Like, you would think you just blew the point out. And before my boat planes out, those fish erupted.
God dang.
And I made 4 casts, it seemed like, and I could not hit them. I was just when those fish would blow up on a herring, if you had a hole, like a ring of the size of a 5-gallon bucket, if you missed that bucket size, if the ripples were any bigger, or they wasn't actively chasing it, you could not catch them. Finally, they came up doing it one more time, and I landed on one, and I caught a 6-pounder on one hook, but he netted it. We got all excited. I think the first day I was sitting in ninth or something, shot all the way up to second place. And I think I was like 2 or 3 pounds behind the leader. And there was an equal gap from second to third. And there was a substantial gap between third and fourth, but not a lot, but I think like 3 pounds or something. So I'm like, okay, this can possibly happen. Well, day 3 we blast off. The nerves are getting real. I'm like, all right, you can do this. Me and the leader were fishing the mouth of the same creek. So the where the big ones were, he was about a mile further into that creek. And for whatever reason that day, it was a little cloudy. So I decided to pick up a fluke. And my fluke game is obviously horrible. I don't know if I had it on too heavy of a rod. I was throwing it on a flipping stick. I didn't know. And I'm telling you, I lost 10 fish in a row. Changed my hook. I lost like 15 pounds twice. The fluke was the right call to do. And the fish just never came up schooling. And I'm like, something ain't right, man. I'm watching Trey over there. He's probably catching them. I think I might have looked up and saw him catch one. I'm like, well, it was like literally, I think 12 o'clock. Check-in was either at 2. I think it was check-in was at 2. And I said, dude, I just got to go catch me 8 to 9 pounds to go get in the classic. I can't lose the classic. So I had a couple schools by the boat ramp, and I was fishing down by the dam. So it was about a 10 to 14 minute run back to by the boat ramp. I ran all the way back by the boat ramp, threw a top water over a little spot, caught a 2 1/4, and then like pound and a halfers just started schooling, and I just ripped in a limit as fast as I could, got to literally I think 9 pounds, and I'm like, okay, now you can get dangerous. Now go try to catch a big one. I literally got on pad with those fish still schooling. I'll never forget it. They were still blowing up. I got on pad, I ran all the way back down. I shut my boat down, threw my trolling motor down in the water, and I'm looking at just like nothing. There's nothing happening. Nothing's blowing up, and I'm like, you idiot. You just left 100 fish schooling to come down here to where you just got, they're not schooling. So I went all the way back up, made a couple key calls, and long story short, for whatever reason, in that creek, they just weren't doing it. I mean, I think Trey ended up having 1 bass that day. And dangerously enough, I almost had the same thing happen to me. Ended up winning the event. One door closes, another one opens. Story, man. It was absolutely crazy. Oh, look at that kid.
Cool. Very cool.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, man.
Yeah,
Oh, man. That was crazy.
Do you remember what you said on stage?
Yeah. Highest to highs, lowest to lows. I mean, I was about to pull my hair out at one point, and I don't know why we do it. I say it every year since then, too, buddy.
He said, I don't know why we do this.
I don't. The man's heart ain't made for. I don't know how Rick Lund's still living. I mean, I'm telling you right now, the amount of stress this puts on a man's heart, it's insane.
Yeah, that's a cool story, and I don't know if people caught the first part of it and how you and I talked.
Yep.
Before and it was a serious talk. Like if I don't, and you said that if I don't win this or make it to the classic, I may never fish again because I'm going to sell the boat, and just not because he didn't want to, just because circumstances, and he had to, but you didn't have to. You made it. And are still there.
I tell people this all the time. I had a really good job. I worked my butt off for that company. Just that's what happens in the oil field. It's a roller coaster, and it happens, right? Had I won Nation and not got laid off for the job that I had, I probably would have declined the invite.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it would have been a very difficult thing for me to do, to leave. And it's just crazy how the timing of that would happen. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. I mean, the timing's got to be right.
That's it.
One of your fellow compadres is one of the few people to decline the invitation. You know,
Ryan
Ryan.
Levine.
Yeah, Ryan. And that was a cool story too.
Yep.
Non-boater all the way through, wins it. Wins
Hammered
two
him.
boats.
Yep.
Two boats, and you know, just timing wasn't right, and
That's right.
you know, family and work, and God has a plan, and He knew
That's right.
exactly what was going on.
That was right. It was a lot of emotions going around.
Yeah,
But man, it's been fun ever since. You know, I'm pretty sure every bass angler in the world will say this, but I wish I could go back to that year I started with the knowledge that I know now.
Yeah.
Wish I didn't know now what I should know, or just wish I'd have known some more. But I was so green when I made it, man, at that level. I really was. And I think what has helped me each year going forward, and if I can give anybody else any type of advice, any young angler, high school angler, college angler, is just never stop learning. If you think you can win every tournament doing one thing, trust me, you can. If you think there's something you need to sharpen up on it. There's some days when, I would go fishing with buddies and we would literally, like when side scan and down scan came out, that was literally all we'd go to Toledo Bend and do. We were really winning money shallow in the hay grass when it was, when Toledo had hay grass, but we knew offshore schools was going to happen come June, and we really needed to get out there and teach ourselves how to do it. And that's what we did. There was days we didn't catch a bass. We just sit right next to each other, looking at the screen all day, just trying to learn. And, that's kind of like what I'm taking into this forward facing sonar deal. I'm trying to get better at it each tournament. Try not to be stubborn and try not to let it fish me out of a job again.
Yeah. Have you been given some advice to learn? Like I'm not good at it. I suck at it. I have it, and I try a little bit, but I'm not a professional angler, so I try for about 15 or 20 minutes,
It ain't
and
long enough.
I'm done because I want to go fishing because that.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna learn, how do I learn? What is one or two big pointers that you can give me or anybody else listening that you think helped or is helping you to learn it?
I'll give some fishing techniques here in a second, but I think the number one thing is if you really want to get good at it, pick you some days and go do it all day long. You'll learn things throughout that day about where bass are setting up at any given time of the day, how they react to certain baits, what they're doing. Are they on bait? Are they sitting around this certain depth line? You can just see that so much better with forward facing sonar. And you'll get some reactions that'll, you're like, okay, that was what I've been looking for. I mean, I don't know how many times this year I've set the hook on fish and I never felt the bite. I just watched the reaction off the screen and just set the hook and the fish was there. I mean, you can get dialed in pretty quickly. You just got to see that once it clicks for you, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. But average fishing techniques, the biggest thing I can tell you is if you're throwing a minnow a lot, that's typically what you're going to be throwing: a minnow, a jerk bait. You can throw an A-rig at them too a lot. You typically you'll be throwing some type of suspending bait. You might be able to throw a jig at them sometimes too. I tell everybody the same. You want to keep the bait above them. Okay. There's some times in dirty water situations you got to get the bait right on top of them or pretty close to them for they catch their attention. But the clearer the water, the further away you want to keep that bait. The further you make that fish swim or able to pull that fish, the more committed he's going to be to strike. So if the water's super clear and you throw right on top of this fish and you watch your bait go all the way down right to the fish, I'm not saying he won't bite it, but a lot of times they get too good of a look at it is what I think goes on. They get too good of a look at it. They're like, oh, that's not real. And they'll just kind of follow it a little bit and lose interest and they won't bite anything. But if you can keep it way above his head and kind of jig it and make him turn and make her turn and come to it, you keep pulling it and try to keep it in her playing field. If you make that fish close that gap, they're more inclined to strike. That's I learned that with crappie with sockeye. You know, you go to a brush pile, you keep the little jig above them. The further, so
Sockeye.
the further that sockeye swims, they're more inclined to bite it. Yeah,
Kyle fishes for sockeye up here.
there you go.
We love it. I just had some last night, fried them up. They're delicious.
I mean, them and trout are pretty hard to beat.
There ain't nothing better, buddy.
That's right.
Walleye. Now, I got to add walleye in that mix.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
It's pretty hard to beat sockeye, man. That
Yeah.
white bought him about a 14-inch sockeye fillet.
I was at a regional at Toledo Bend, Bass Nation Regional at Toledo Bend. I was in this pocket fishing, and they were on beds when we were there that year. And I seen some guys idling by, and hey, just, hey guys, what's going on? Oh, not much. And they shut their motor off, a couple of older guys, and I said, what are you guys headed after this morning anyhow? And they said, sockeye. And I said, excuse me? What in the world are you guys talking about?
You must have been on Louisiana side.
They said white perch. And I said, okay, you still got me lost. You're talking Spanish at this point. What are you talking about? He said, where are you from? Of course, I said, well, I had Oklahoma stickers on my boat, but I'm from Southeast Kansas. I said, Cherryville, Kansas, like that. And he goes, yeah, Spanish to us. I said, okay. I said, we call them crappie. I think that's what you guys are after. He goes, that's right. So,
yeah. So it's weird. There's a little section right there. There's a little section in Texas and Louisiana, mid-state, kind of like the eastern Texas, central Louisiana, where they call them white perch. In Florida, they call them specks.
Yeah.
And I've always called a black one a sockeye and a white one. I'll call a white one a white perch, but
yeah.
We
was in where was we at? Big Bay or something like that. I don't remember. I don't know that lake very well, but south of
Big Bass.
Something like that.
Yeah.
South of Cypress.
Yeah, Big Bass.
Yeah.
We'll change the subject a little bit. So how did you go from being just like a rookie on the trail without not much experience to a guy that nobody wants to fight?
I got pushed around my first year, and I said, you know what? That shit ain't never gonna happen again. Oh, pardon my French. That ain't never gonna happen again. And it's pretty nice to pull up on a hole and know that anybody go mess with you or cut you off. I'll tell you that. I've never had to I'll tell you one thing. I've never got into it with anybody on the water. I don't know if it's the way I fish or nobody really wants to press me, but I've never had to get into it in 8 years. And that's pretty impressive because it happens every day, every tournament. Something's happening,
Did something happen off the water?
Nope, something happened on the water. I'm probably not going to go into it, but he's pretty big into the other league, I'll put it that way. And I said, I went home and I didn't make the cut. And I think he ended up finishing 4th in that event. And I said, that will never happen to me again. I'm like, now, I didn't go home and work out for 3 years after that happened. But I said, you know what? That'll never happen to me again. But no, we're a bunch of boys. We go on the road for 2 weeks at a time, testosterone flaring. We drink up beers after the tournament and couple guys start wrestling. Well, Matt Robertson thinks he can always take me, and he's about as soft as a baby turd, and you can just throw him over, anything super easy, and he just don't quit. And it turned into one thing, another fight, another wrestle. I mean, we're just wrestling until I just throw him to the ground.
Yeah.
And I think a couple videos got out about how easily I did it to him, and they're like, "Yeah, well, I'm not gonna mess with Caleb Sumrall."
There you go. You probably you might have leaked those videos, maybe.
That's right. That's right. I think him and Taku took me on one year. That was pretty funny.
Uh,
Yeah.
so who do you room with on the road? Do you do that, or do you
Yeah.
camp, or what do you do? What do you?
Me, Lee Livesey, and Logan Latuso room together. Me and Lee have been rooming together since the AOI championship of 18. Nope, 19. So the end of that year. So I think going to this year will be our 5th year rooming together. In this will be Logan's 2nd year, or no, this will be Logan's 3rd year with us. So it's been a good household. We got a good little system working. Me and Lee work like really good together. Logan's fitting his way in there, and we never really practice the same creek at the same time. We really try to break out on the system, and we're not a typical waypoint fishing sharing type of household. Like we go, everybody's going to fish their own game, and if don't get me wrong, if any one of those guys need to come pull in to get paid, we do that. But we're a general information household. Hey, there's a chatterbait bite going on. Need to find it, and so hopefully you can apply it to the areas that you're breaking down and do well there. That's kind of how we've been doing it for the last 5 years, and it works well. Lee's got his YouTube series going with Jesse, our camera guy. He travels with us as well, and it's been good. It's been fun. It's getting a lot of notoriety. It's taking off really good. We do, you know, work from daylight till dusk on practice days, and we fish hard. And at the end of the day, we drink a couple beers, grill some meat up, and laugh and cut up, and wake up early and do it again the next day. And that's kind of
No,
our image. That's kind of our
nobody's
image.
nobody's gonna mess with Lee either.
Nobody's gonna let's mess with Lee either. That's a fact. I mean, we
Now,
kind of got that going for us, so that's
yeah,
pretty good.
Logan's a nation guy.
Logan was fishing nation. Logan fished the opens. I want to say he missed the opens. I'm gonna say this Logan statistic because I think it needs to be said. I want to say he's missed the elites by 1 point
Yeah.
or 1 place, 2 times for sure, maybe 3 times. I don't want to quote him on the third, but I know twice he has missed it 1 place out in the opens, and says a lot about the guy. The kid can fish. He's a really good fisherman. He's a
Mhm.
really locked in. He's a guy that when they're in the dirt, he can catch them.
Had a heck of a teacher too, didn't he?
Robbie Latuso, that's right. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
I grew up fishing out of the back of a 16-foot flat bottom boat. My dad was a crappie fisherman. My grandpa was the bass fisherman, and I don't know if Robbie. I think Robbie been fishing tournaments for a while. I know.
Yeah.
I know when I started fishing tournaments. I want to say it was 2012.
Mhm.
I think I'm going on 13 years fishing tournaments. I think it was 2012, and I remember seeing Robbie's name on some tournaments
Robbie was a nation guy too. There,
for a while.
that whole area right there.
They had some
I don't know if
hammers.
it's something in the water or what it
I,
is.
I came in from the west side. They kept calling me the west side guy.
Mm-hmm.
I broke up their little Ascension Angler clan.
Yeah,
They didn't like me for a little while.
you got Ryan Levine and Jamie Lesh
Jamie
and
Les,
Greg Hackney's from that area.
Robbie, Logan,
Robbie Logan. Um,
Gerald Spohr is another pro there. Derek Cudnall was there. Um, I feel like I'm missing one.
yeah, there was one on the tip of my tongue.
Some
I
ham.
messed you up. But no, that little area had some hammers.
Yeah.
Dude, those Delta chatterbaits, the Delta lures chatterbaits, they're like, if it's not a jackhammer in my hand, I throw Deltas. They hold up good.
No, Fred makes a really good chatterbait. It's gonna be interesting to see without the patents up. Not everybody can do
Dave
the
Cavell.
Dave. Oh yeah, duh, Dave Cavell. How can I forget
Almost forgot our shrimp
the
supplier.
number one the number one? How could you forget, guy?
Right, exactly. And
Oh, Dave.
yeah, absolutely. What oh man, I lost my train of thought.
Talk about Dave Cavell. Do it.
Yeah, Dave Cavell. He brought, so I said Dave came up for the nation championship,
Yep.
and he wanted to know if I had a room. We had a room. I'm like, yeah, I get you a room. And I said, what I really need, we wanted to do like a chili feed or something. And I said, what I really need is a big pot, something that I can cook chili in. Well, he didn't bring me a chili pot. He brought me a shrimp pot, like a giant shrimp pot,
How we cook.
like that big.
Uh-huh.
And a burner, brand new, and a paddle to stir
Just
it
start.
with.
You cook enough chili for 100 people.
And then when he showed up, he brought all the stuff for a shrimp boil. And so we had a big shrimp boil here at the nation championship at the lodge. And Danny missed out on it, but it was delicious.
Heck yeah.
And he's like, you can't cook chili in this pot.
She showed him what you needed, but Dave Cavell did what he wanted.
He's like, you can't cook
That's
chili in
Dave
this
Cavell. That is
I'm
Dave
like,
Cavell.
okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's are you fishing anything else?
I'm not, man. I'm fishing the classic this year and the elites. I'm concentrating on those. I want to say the year after I made it, I fished the division of the opens and the elites and tried the guide in between, and it was a little too much. And I'm not saying that I'd like to one day. It's a little expensive to do, but I really would like to. And I thought about doing the NPFL. I think they got like 20 to 30 elite guys fishing NPFL this
Yeah,
year.
there's quite a few.
But I'm excited about this saltwater thing, man, and I really want to get this. I want to get this going. I really want to build my clientele with that because you never know when this bass thing might peter out on me. And
Mm-hmm.
I got kids, and I really want to have a contingency. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm counting myself out. I'm not saying I'm looking at backing out. I'd like
Yeah.
to,
You got to
like to
have a
have.
backup. Yeah, you got to have a backup plan business,
That's right.
whether it's guiding or
That's right.
YouTubing or like
I want to
Edwin
bring.
does, or
Yeah.
having a pecan farm like Edwin does, or raising cattle, whatever. You got to have
Something.
you got to have something.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be something that I really enjoy. That if I had to do it full time, I could pick my days. I
Mhm.
ran this year. I ran. I think we had one month off in the summertime. I ran just about every day, weather permitting, and we got off in August. And I started to build my clientele up. I got it was fun. It was really good. I made some really good money in the time off, and it could be a really good living. I want to get a houseboat built for my customers to let them come
Mhm.
in and stay on a houseboat and be able to cook for them and give them some lodging. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to fish anything else. I'm going to concentrate on the elites and really try to move forward to that.
What's the best time to come down there and fish?
Whenever the wind's not blowing. No, the summertime's really good. You have to drive the boat a little bit further. June, July can be, lights out. I'm talking, we typically run about an hour in the dark. It's not, pitch black dark, but it, you, you're beating a lot of people to spots and stuff like that. But we get out there early and we throw a lot of double rigs in the summertime, and the fall can get really fun too. So if you're not, if you don't think you can handle the heat, the fall is always really good. Up
Mhm.
until it gets, it was good all the way up until the first week of January till we got a couple bad cold fronts, and then hopefully this crazy snow we just had didn't kill them all. So we'll know more next year.
How much did you get snow? How much did you get?
Around 10 inches
Really?
here on the coast. I'm talking 10 inches of powder. And then the next morning we woke up, it was 3 degrees. Yeah.
Is that
I'm talking, it
have
was
you ever
blowing.
seen that before?
It was a record for here. Yeah. No, I've seen it before. I went to Colorado on an elk hunt, and we woke up to 2 foot of snow on the ground in a
I
tent one
mean, have
morning.
you seen it there before?
No. Oh, we've seen snow, but nothing like that. We've got, I think that it was like 2 or 3 years ago. We had like an inch, not
Yeah.
even like it didn't even settle on the ground. It would just might have been 2 inches, but
Hmm.
10. I mean, the roads were just covered. Everything was covered. And it was so cold the next day that nothing thawed. It didn't thaw for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I mean, we went under a blizzard warning for a second. Wait, what? I
That
think
is
Pensacola
crazy.
got 10 inches of snow too. It was a crazy storm.
Yeah.
And so,
I imagine nothing was going on. Everything was shut down.
I didn't leave the house for 2 days. 3 days probably. No, it might have been 2 days we went to the store.
Yeah.
so kind of I didn't really know where New Iberia was in Louisiana until I started doing a little research earlier today. So, can you kind of explain, like, you kind of call the Atchafalaya Basin your home?
Mm-hmm.
Where does it start and end?
It starts. I want to say it starts in the Red River. I don't know if the. I think I followed it one day. I think the red turns into it. I think it's the base of the Red River. I do. Um, all right. Some part it kind of peters out into it, or it ties into the Mississippi
Okay.
at a spillway. I think there's another spill. I want to say I'm messing up. There's one section of it that follows into the red, and then there's another section I want to say that ties into the Mississippi.
Well, you look on Google Earth Pro, and there's just water everywhere around you.
A lot of dead water too.
Hmm.
I just, it's just so, one of my, I have to admit, one of my all time heroes, Greg Hackney, is from pretty close to that area too. And I'm like, he's talks about the Atchafalaya Basin being fun to fish and this and that. And I'm like, I don't even know where you would start. Like,
There was an open that was supposed to be in February there, and boy, I was excited. I want to say that was the year I made it.
Mm.
Maybe the year before. We moved it to the fall because of high water, and I'm
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, man. 180 anglers ain't gonna know which way to turn. They're not gonna go where to go. Oh man, I was so excited. Yeah.
but
Yeah,
so,
that was a crazy place. I've been there a couple times. I've actually the when I was still president of Kansas before I worked at Bass, we had a regional or a divisional down there at the time, and I actually made the team. I think, or I was an alternate or something. But that was before GPS,
Oh my goodness, you had to pull out a paper map on them.
paper maps, and just trying to remember where you
Oh
went.
yeah,
Oh,
yep.
it was scary, spooky, scary.
Oh
Like
yeah. You never know
I'm.
what you can run. You can actually run a lot there. There's not a lot of areas with like big stumps. It's mostly all filtered through sand draws or ditches. Not saying you can't
Hmm.
hit nothing, but it's not as scary as a place like running the backwaters of the Red River.
Hmm.
Um, it was never if you know you'll know if you're in an area that can be treacherous. Yeah, I mean it's been growing up with a lot of hyacinth lately, and I want to say 2 years ago I ran my bass boat through some hyacinths and trying to get back in some old holes that I used to go, and it was like, man, it just changes so much. But it used to, so the snow would melt, and you get a bunch of water coming down, and it would fluctuate up in the woods. And a lot of crawfish comes from the spillway. A lot of the crawfish you get in Texas, South Louisiana, the Chapala Basin's the main farm of that. When he gets high, those crawfishermen go in there and farm all those crawfish out of there. And then there'd be certain levels when it would start falling slowly. You'd have to get in certain holes, and everything would start biting, the bass, the sockeye. And if you heard about it word of mouth, you were too late. You had to know what level that needed to hit, and right before you could barely not get into those holes, you'd go catch them, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
Chapala Basin, when you Google it, it says America's largest wetland and swamp.
There you go. I mean, swamp people, where they
Yeah.
saw Landry's on the other side of it. It's where he made his living.
That is
Yep.
cool. That is really
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. Right there. What you
Speaking-
got? Oh,
Have you done any gator hunting?
Killed an 11-footer last year.
Oh, no kidding. Sweet.
Yeah. I got a buddy that runs some gator trips out of Henderson, Louisiana. They do line hunts and trophy hunts, and it's pretty cool. You live scope the gators.
yeah. I saw that.
Yeah.
Hold on. Live scoping gators.
You just drive down the bank till you see one blow off the bank, and then you just park the boat on the bank where he just blew off, throw the scope on the side of the boat, and you'll see him laying down on the bottom like a log right there. Throw a treble hook with a giant weight and snag him.
Holy cow, Danny.
Yeah.
Let's go do it.
It's the biggest. I mean, you can't if you miss an alligator on live scope, you don't need to be live scoping, and you'll see the tail, you see his head, everything. Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh my gosh.
There was no waiting for bubbles at all. I think I got him on like the first or second flip too. Yeah.
Oh, man.
You think Landry uses live scope?
I don't think he does too many trophy hunts. I think he just runs a bunch of lines to fill his tags. I think he makes most of his money on that. I did
Yeah.
see him one year. I was practicing for a tournament. Boy, he had a whole system going on. He had 2 follow boats. Okay, so apparently when the show started to not be filmed anymore, he started running guide trips out of his skiff. And I don't want to quote or misquote him, but I know what he was doing. He would, because I watched him. He had 2 big bay boats and follow boats stacked with people, and they would stay out in the main channel. And he would take his crawfish skiff with 4 or 5 people, and he's running all these lines. And one person at a time would rotate, and he'd shoot an alligator off the line, shoot an alligator off the line, and he'd go get some more people off another boat, bring them out there, shoot them off the line, shoot them off the lines. And I don't know what he was charging per gator, but I imagine he was raking it in.
Yeah, I would guess.
Yeah. No, he had a good little system going.
That's funny.
Fellas, I hate to cut y'all short, but I got 3% on my phone,
All right.
and I'm off
Well-
from a charger.
Well, we have enjoyed having you. You think you got time for one more question?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Danny, that's your
Oh,
cue.
Man, I'm gonna have to.
I put him on the spot.
No, he
Well-
knows. He knows what his question is.
I have 2 questions that I ask everybody, but I'm going to change this one up because of where you live.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like you've ever seen a rougarou?
I felt like I was being chased by a rougarou a couple times hunting at night, probably in areas that I shouldn't have been as a kid. No, that was a good one. I ain't gonna lie. A rougarou.
Rougarou.
What is that? Is that like a Bigfoot?
That's the tatai. Yeah, that's the swamp monster. That's the Kunas That's the Kunas Bigfoot. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
All right.
Bigfoot, but he speaks Cajun French.
Yeah. I ain't never gave him a chance to talk. I was always getting out of that.
Well,
That was funny.
where do we find you on, if people want to follow you, Caleb? This
Caleb
year?
Caleb Sumrall Fishing on Facebook, Caleb Sumrall Fishing on Instagram. That's my main two platforms. You know, I'm also on Lee's YouTube. Lee Livesey that's his YouTube. He kind of, gives us some notoriety off of it. Thank him for that. And yeah, if I'm not bass fishing, you can find me in the saltwater running some trout trips. If y'all want to come catch some trout, holler at me. Shoot me a message on Facebook, and we'll go rip.
We'd love to have you back on, and
Yeah.
we make all of our guests promise that when they win in the elite this year, that we're the first podcast you come on.
I can do that. I
Yeah.
can
All
do
right.
that.
Awesome.
I can do that. I'll give you that.
We'll hold you to it.
Hold me to it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank y'all.
Good luck, Caleb.
Thank y'all,
Thanks.
brother. Bye-bye.
What a cool dude.
Definitely.
Yeah. He's got a pretty cool story.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, how he got there and
You just
Oh,
Nice gloves.
look at Kiki.
nice gloves.
good show. Good show. Caleb Sumrall, ladies and gentlemen. That was great. Oh, sorry.
Absolutely. So
I'm not sure who Michaela Ann is, but
That's Roseanne's daughter.
he is not single. He is not single.
That is Albers Marine Roseanne's daughter. So
He is not single. Sorry.
Sorry, Michaela.
but it is nice to see Michaela's watching. So hey.
Yeah. He's got a son named Axel.
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some Guns N' Roses
Yeah.
nod there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Cranker,
Yes.
one thing that you did miss at the Albers show Saturday, as Kiki is trying to show the camera, show off, the two rich guys, the independently wealthy guys, bought the AFTCO fishing gloves that Mercer was talking about a few weeks back.
Mm.
They were buy one get one free.
Yeah.
I got
Oh,
mine.
really?
I got
So they-
mine. Kyle paid for his.
Oh, wow. So they left you out, Danny.
Oh, of course. Why
No,
wouldn't
they were not. They were not buy one get one free. I wish.
It's I just put them on every time I come out here. I don't know if I'll ever wear them, but every time I come out in the shop, I don't want to get them dirty, so I'm not going to work in them or anything, but they are comfortable.
I'm going to tell you that they are on my list. Absolutely. After I put yours on. And then, Kyle, I watched John. Mind you, this is Dad. Dad worked on his phone with the gloves on.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
he
when
was texting on his phone with the gloves on.
when I text without gloves, I am hitting the wrong letter all the time. All the time. Fat fingers. I put the gloves on and never hit the wrong number or the
Wow.
wrong letter.
They are pretty.
That is weird. That is freaky weird that you can put gloves on and not misspell anything or not hit the wrong letter.
Yeah, you think it would be the other way around.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Maybe they'll help your live scope game.
Maybe.
You know, after recent conversations, John, I'm thinking that the best way for you to practice live scope is for all of us to go to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, start on a big object to search for, right?
I got a 12-foot surf rod, and I can go out in the shop and pour some treble hooks like old Junior did.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get her done.
Yeah,
I wonder how that works. I guess you probably got to apply for tag, I'd guess.
I mean, you guys want to go north, and that's all cool and everything, but I I think my first trip away from home, long distance, is going to be south.
I don't know, man. You can't hardly beat the smallmouth up
I
there.
do love a small jaw.
They're nothing like our small jaw. Nothing like it.
That's what would excite me
Hmm.
because I love the small jaws here even.
I like them big, beefy critters.
The ones here are like kind of sort of long and skinny, like cigar shaped,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones up there are football shaped.
Yeah.
This.
Cool stuff.
Well,
Oh, we got a question down there from Matt. Matt, the Bigfoot gift guy. Matt asked if Casey showed the gang how to tie the FG knot. Well, we never got around to it.
we got sidetracked.
It's pretty easy to do, to get sidetracked.
It's real easy to do.
I thought you were about to say the FG knot is real easy.
Oh, no,
I was like, no.
no.
Yeah,
You know how to
we'll
tie
have
it, I'm sure it is, but
Mhm.
I haven't gotten there yet.
I was busy asking Casey about a spinnerbait that's been discontinued.
Well, of course you were.
I got into the whole discontinued tackle conversation with him, and it slipped my mind. That actually was one of the things I wanted to get figured out, but I didn't make it that far.
Well, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Jack, you're getting ahead of us, man. Are you tired of us already? You want to know
He's
about
trying.
this?
Yeah, that's him saying, all right, wrap it up, folks. Wrap it up, fellas.
Wrap it up.
Ooh,
Hey, congratulations, Jack, on the Co-Angler of the Year, man. That was cool.
yeah,
Yes,
that was cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome.
You know, I don't know how big your bass club is or anything, but it doesn't really matter, honestly. I mean, it's not easy to be a co-angler these days. I mean, it's just not. So that's pretty neat.
I think they have a pretty good size club. I don't know that for sure.
They have a damn good bunch of guys. I know that. Kansas Masters, you know, he's in there with Freilich and Kraft and
Oh my.
Taylor and you know
Mhm.
those guys. So
You know, I need to say this because I feel compelled, but as a boater for a lot of years in my bass club, one of the things that always makes me smile on the way home is that, you know, if I do draw a co-angler, that they catch fish. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a goal of mine for the co-angler to sit back there and yawn and flip the water and do the co-angler stuff that is boring. I want them to catch fish. I want them to have a good conversation, and I want to learn something from them. So I hope that they have a good time. So, you know, I'm assuming his bass club's full of good boaters because it about has to be, you know.
I feel like I'm the same way. I want the non-boater to catch fish. However, I'm quite certain that my style of fishing bores the non-boater to death. And so
doesn't bore me.
so it's like you know, I hope they catch a fish to kind of offset the boredom of me going down the bank at a snail's pace throwing a tube
Well, I mean,
or jig or
you can just bare bones it, John. I mean, it really and truly, what is a bass club about? You know, I've been thinking about that for a few days now. I got a bass club meeting this Saturday at 3:00. We do our annual bass annual bass club meeting in the winter, usually before the start of the year. And it's like, what's a bass club all about? Well, I mean, really, when Frank Stong started our bass club, the Cherryville Bassmasters, I don't think he started the club for the boaters just to join and not welcome co-anglers and not, he started the bass club for guys to get together, have a good time, catch some fish, learn from one another, the whole 9 yards. So,
and vice versa. I mean, a good non-boater can teach you a thing or two.
absolutely.
If they're good and focused and all that. And I think it's good to fish with the non-boaters. And I know the club doesn't have many non-boaters, but I know there's a couple on this screen to our left comments that have asked about the Cherryville Bassmasters and maybe joining in, and maybe even the guy in the lower left corner kicking it around too.
I would absolutely, as the president of the Cherryville Bass Club, I would welcome any non-boater we could any co-angler that we could get. We've had, we have had and have some really, really good co-anglers in the Bass Club. Unfortunately, a couple of them, life has just gotten in the way over the years. One of them that I'm thinking about right now, I miss not getting a chance to fish with him. I mean, I can remember past years where he'd get in the boat with me when I was just, 18 years old. And I would ask him, where are we going? What are we doing? And what do you want? What do you want? What are you going to throw? Because he would absolutely curb stomp them. It was fun watching him. But if you guys are interested in joining the Bass Club, get a hold of me. It's not hard. Send me a message on Messenger. Like I said, our annual club meeting is this weekend, Saturday. We will post our schedule on our Facebook page after the fact. We are nation affiliated. Thank you, John. Welcome back, boys.
Are we picking the schedule this Saturday?
So we will not necessarily pick the schedule, but we will debate the dates. We will talk about the dates. I'm just going to say it. It would be nice if we knew when the Frank Stong tournament was. It would be really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, not putting any pressure on the new tournament director of the Bass Nation or anything, but Travis, if you're listening, could you please cut us a date? Because we don't want this come up to the schedule.
Time out.
It is tentatively May 17th.
Okay.
The issue that was raised over the weekend is that's the Grand Big Bass Challenge.
Oh yeah.
Well,
so that is one potential date. It is the 17th of May.
Okay. That's kind of a
Grand Big Bass Challenge, a 2-dayer.
I'm not sure. I believe so.
3-dayer. It's either 2 or 3. It says 5/15 to 17 on my little list. And I mean, and I know a couple people that normally fish the Stong that always fish the Grand Challenge too. So I don't know if that's changeable or not.
Generally speaking, there's some of our bass club that likes to get in the Grand Challenge as well.
Yeah.
So I do want to add something before we get too crazy is, our bass club, our membership is just $20 to join. Your first tournament ever, like somebody like Danny that's never fished with our bass club at all, your first tournament's free. So we don't charge you a membership. You just come hang out.
That's the club portion.
Yes, that is the club portion.
If you want to be a nation member, then it's another 60.
Yes. Something else that is kind of maybe different about our bass club is we fish as a boater co-angler format, right? But if John, let's say you wanted to bring Val to a tournament and you guys wanted to fish together, that's perfectly fine. Unfortunately, you're not fishing as a team, right? You're fishing individually. But if you wanted to bring a friend of yours that doesn't necessarily want to draw out with somebody else, they're allowed to fish with you.
And if I'm a co-angler, this is the way I understand it. If I'm a co-angler, I get to pick who I fish with. Is that correct? In your club?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go co-angler this year.
Okay.
And I'm going to alternate Kyle, Brian.
Alternate
Kyle, Brian. And Danny's going to alternate Kyle, Brian, Kyle, Brian.
That's perfectly fine. And as the
I think that might be something you need to look at if we get more co-anglers.
Right
now it's not an issue, but if we get, if Danny joins and Matt Ganoff joins and whoever,
maybe
three or
producer
four
Crank
other
joins.
Producer Crank joins, 3 or 4 others, you're gonna have guys probably wanting to fish with the same person. So
it makes it, and it could possibly make it an uncomfortable situation, right? So in the past, what we've done is obviously you draw a boat number, and then those all go back into a bucket, and then the co-anglers draw a boat number, and we've done that from time to time. Just kind of
if you don't care, so
right.
So the way you do it is, if you don't have a preference, I don't care whether I fish with Danny or Kyle or Brian, then I go in a draw. That that makes sense.
Yeah, and then it's just we don't treat it as that serious of a situation. But what I will tell them, every single guy that brings their own boat and fishes by themselves, if you ever decide that you think it's okay to turn somebody down and tell them that no, you can't go with me, you won't be a Cherryville Bass member anymore, and you won't be allowed to fish. And I will be the absolute first person on here to say that I've fortunately not had to make that comment or tell anybody that ever. Our bass club is welcome to co-anglers and welcome to new members. All they need to do is just contact me, and I will try to get them all the details I possibly can.
Yeah. And I know most of the guys in that club, and that's
pretty laid back.
Pretty laid back. Yeah.
Good bunch of guys, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Looking forward to getting started fishing.
Me too. My wife.
Yeah.
We were. I hope she's not watching. We had a little family issue today, and I was a little upset, like just pissed off. You know how things go. And she texted me and said, if you're, I don't know what's going on, if you're stressed out about other stuff or whatever, I'm here to, like, Val, like the good Val does, I'm here to listen and give you a hug. And I said, I'm tired of living in the frickin' camper. I'm tired of not fishing. I'm tired of not golfing. I'm ready to. I'm ready to go.
Cabin fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Tired
gee.
of Kansas. I'm tired of Kansas losing and playing like crap.
Well,
They
we're
are
right now.
Yeah. Oh,
See, I went and
you
changed.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I agree with Wendy. You cannot do that, Danny.
Oh man, it was fun Saturday night to get the wives together, and I was gonna throw out this idea, but that would have started a whole nother round of beers, probably. We should do a show sometime and interview the wives.
Oh my.
Yeah, I know whose wife would be the most outspoken, probably.
You think so?
Don't
talk about it.
You
And I
can't
know
bottle
who's
it up forever,
and I
Wendy.
know whose wife would be second outspoken.
Yeah, we probably should just change the subject right now.
Fun times were had by all, boys.
Yeah. So we had a question earlier. Who's on next week?
Who is on next week?
I think one of the hottest anglers in the fishing industry right now.
I would agree.
I think a guy that will have an angler of the year and will win a classic, maybe multiple, I think, at some point. What do you think?
I think it's possible he could win Angler of the Year on a couple circuits at the same time.
I'm not sure that I'd have to let Kiki look up these stats, but he may be top 10 angler of the year, may have been top 10 angler of the year almost every year he's been a pro. I don't think I'm going out on a limb too much.
I think you're right on the money there.
No, he's been on the tour probably 7 years, 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple wins, 2 or 3, maybe 4. I don't know. My Kiki's, I don't know what he's doing.
I'm messaging Matt.
He'll have to look up these stats. But next week, Mr. Shorts himself, Patrick Walters.
Nice. That'll be a good one.
We can talk to him about NPFL and maybe bass.
Yes, absolutely. And I did have a conversation with Mr. Al today from NPFL. And so he's on board with getting us. I think Patrick was contacted through Bass this time, but we're going to get some NPFL guys on. And matter of fact, Al said to look at the dates. Look at the NPFL dates, and you guys can do this too, and help me out here. Look at the NPFL dates, and on that Tuesday that they're fishing somewhere, he said he goes around like to the campgrounds or the Airbnbs and just hangs with the guys and chats with them, gets to know them a little better so he can talk with them on stage. And he said he'd be glad to line up something on a Tuesday night when they're at an event and do it in their Airbnb or whatever, so we can have 2 or 3 or 4 guys on that night.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so keep that in mind when looking at the NPFL schedule, and we can do that.
Heck yeah.
So
What else?
Well, we're listening to Kyle text.
I've
Do an
got
official Cherryville
messages from our listeners, guys. I'm getting messages from our listeners. It's a good thing.
It's a wonderful thing.
We're good. We're good on nation dues now, Johnny.
we are.
Yeah, yeah, we're good.
You got from the guys I said.
We're good. We
Okay.
got no, nope.
So we're not good.
No, not from the guys you said at all. We got 3 other guys so it's not a concern at all. I think we got about 10 that'll probably join.
We still
Cool.
got to either get the money from those other 2 guys, try to get them to pay, because that's who I put in, and you can't trade. You can't like give my money to this guy because I'm not doing it. Once they're in, they're in.
Okay.
And there's no refunds. So even if we got to put it in, we'll put it in.
Figure it out down the road.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we take this thing home?
Absolutely. Another good show, guys.
Absolutely a great show. And what a surprise to visit with Caleb, and just a good old boy from Louisiana. I was tempted to ask him about Landman, since he was talking about working in the oil field. And then I thought, well, we'll just try that another time.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks for watching. It's been a great show tonight. Always good to see you. Like and subscribe that YouTube channel.
We're so close to 1,000. Please,
We're like
please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So close.
so close. Like this. Yeah.